An orphanage is shown at the start of the movie. Two key characters from the film are depicted here. Cletus Kasady was one, and Francis Barrison was the other. They were sitting in their respective rooms. This place resembled a ward of a mental asylum. Francis is depicted as terrified in this scene. Cletus wants to know what the doctor said to her. Francis claims that my mutation is speeding up. I'm gradually evolving into a powerful mutant. I'm scared because some people were planning to subject her to a large experiment. Cletus reassures her, "Don't worry, everything will be fine." Meanwhile, some people arrive and forcefully take Francis with them. Cletus becomes furious seeing this. He becomes out of control. They were taking Francis in a police car. On another side, Cletus was striking his hand on the window in anger. They take Francis to a secret location. On the way, Francis, due to her sonic power, she tries to run from there. Francis has the vocal powers from which she can break heavy glass or windows. Due to the vocal powers of Francis, the van tilts. It also affects the police officers there. The police officers, being panicked, shoot at Francis's eye. Francis falls out of the car due to it. The police think maybe she is dead, but she was still alive. Later, they take Francis into an asylum. A doctor is shown performing different experiments on Francis. Meanwhile, a ward boy is shown giving the newspaper to Francis. Cletus was given a death sentence, according to the newspaper. Actually, Cletus Kasady was a massive serial killer. His death sentence was postponed due to a lack of evidence. The surprising thing is, Eddie has printed this news. Here, the doctor says to Francis, people like Cletus should be death sentenced. The detective is shown in the next scene. He was talking to Eddie. Eddie says to the detective, "I have no concern with Cletus." The detective says he just wants to talk to you. Eddie asks, after hearing this, "What is so special in me that he wants to talk to me?" The detective says there must be talks related to the dead body. He wanted to share with you. You should talk to him for once. Venom is shown coming out of Eddie's body and about to eat the detective. Meanwhile, Eddie stops Venom. Later, Eddie and Venom go to the washroom. Going inside, they start talking. A lady there and a detective were listening to them. Venom says to Eddie, "We should protect the city going there. We are just talking sitting here." Venom is insulting Eddie. Venom also annoys him, but Eddie says, "Venom, you should respect me. I am your host, so at least respect me." After it, Eddie means Venom gets ready to meet Cletus. Eddie goes to jail to meet Cletus. They start talking. Eddie asks Cletus, "What do you want from me? Why did you call me here?" Cletus says, "You have to print news for the sake of my fans. In return, I will give you an exclusive interview. In this interview, I'll tell you my secrets." "What is the secret behind the murders I have done? Where are those dead bodies?" Eddie asks him, "Why did you choose me for this task?" Cletus replies, "Because I like you." Cletus asks Eddie to print out the news that Francis had read a few days earlier. As Eddie turns to leave, Cletus stops him, redirecting his attention to the shapes etched on the wall, where several messages in grave-like drawings are visible. Intrigued, Eddie steps closer to examine them. Just before he leaves, Cletus calls out, "Please don't forget me." Outside, the detective approaches Eddie and asks, "What did Cletus say to you?" Eddie, keeping the conversation under wraps, replies, "He didn't say anything of importance. My investigation into him is still ongoing. It's going to take time." With that, Eddie hops on his bike and rides home. Once home, Venom helps Eddie decode the cryptic messages on the wall, revealing a location at the beach where Cletus has hidden all the dead bodies. The next day, a swarm of police officers arrives at the site and uncovers the remains of several victims killed by Cletus. Meanwhile, reporters corner Eddie asking, "Did you become friends with Cletus? He must have told you all his secrets, including where he hid the bodies of those he murdered. You're the only one who's met him, and we got this information from your meeting." Watching the live interview, the detective seethes with anger, realizing Eddie has kept this crucial information a secret from him. Shocked by the breaking news, he understands that with all this evidence, Cletus is now facing the death sentence. This news spreads like wildfire, reaching Francis, who is heartbroken by the development. Meanwhile, Cletus feels betrayed, directing his anger at Eddie, blaming him for the situation since Eddie has gained fame from the coverage. Venom chimes in, telling Eddie, "We'll take down our enemies together. I'm tired of just eating chicken, want to feast on human flesh." Eddie responds, "We're already knee-deep in Cletus' case. It wouldn't be smart to take any more risks." If anyone else goes missing or dies, the FBI will come after us. We can't afford to invite any more trouble right now. Their conversation escalates into an argument as Venom continues to insult Eddie. Frustrated, Eddie pleads, "Please, just respect me." Later, Eddie heads to a poultry farm. As soon as they arrive, Venom starts munching on chickens. After their feast, they leave the farm. On their way, they encounter a gangster who is robbing a lady. Tried to run from there while snatching money from her. Eddie forbids Venom from interfering in this situation. Venom ignores Eddie and is ready to devour the robber. Eddie, however, pleads with Venom, begging him not to do it. After a tense moment, Venom reluctantly lets the guy go and they keep moving. Suddenly, Eddie's friend Anne calls him. She calls Eddie to meet him. Eddie agrees to meet with her. Venom was also talking to Eddie when they met. Anne also discovers Eddie is talking to Venom. Anne asks Eddie,
Venom is still with you?
Eddie says no, Venom has died. Anne tells Eddie, now I am engaged. Eddie becomes emotional after this. Meanwhile, Anne asks Eddie, how are you, Venom? No, you are still inside Eddie, so please take care of Eddie. Eddie becomes surprised after hearing this and leaves for his house on his bike. Venom makes Eddie understand he shouldn't be sad for these small things, because we are made for huge tasks. He says you can't understand my feelings because you don't love someone. The next day, Venom is shown cooking food for itself. Venom asks Eddie to take a healthy and strong breakfast, because Venom will not get anything until Eddie eats. He receives a letter from Cletus, who blames Eddie for his death sentence. In the letter, Cletus describes his past crimes in chilling detail. If I hadn't been born, who would have killed my grandmother? Who would have drowned my mother in the bathtub? Cletus makes it clear he spared no one, not even his own family. He also shares how, after all this, his father sent him to an orphanage where the other kids bullied him. It was there he met Francis, a mutant with powerful vocal abilities, and the two formed a close bond. They liked each other from the start. Now, Cletus wants to meet Eddie one last time. Eddie reluctantly agrees, and later, he arrives at the prison to see Cletus. During their conversation, Cletus tells Eddie has always wanted a family, to which Eddie responds, well, that's hard to believe after what you did to your mother and grandmother. Cletus taunts Eddie, saying, if I end up on death row, you'll be responsible for my death. He continues, you're a disgrace to humanity. This was all part of Cletus's plan to provoke Eddie, and it works. Venom gets furious and bursts out of Eddie's body to confront Cletus. Cletus, quick-witted as ever, bites Eddie's hand in retaliation. Just as things are about to escalate, the guards rush in to break up the fight. As Cletus is being led away, he tells Eddie, I've tasted blood before, but yours is different. It's revealed that when Cletus bit Eddie, a piece of the symbiote was left behind in him. Eddie finally gets home. Venom apologizes, realizing he overreacted. Eddie calmly explains that he needs to control his impulses. If he kills Cletus, the blame for his death will fall on Eddie. This is going to create a huge problem for me. Tensions flare up again as they argue, throwing insults at each other. One snaps, I'm putting up with you, and the other retorts, I'm putting up with you. Venom accuses Eddie of being a loser, claiming, I saved you and gave you a new identity. You got famous because of Cletus. That pushes Eddie over the edge, and he demands Venom to leave. Infuriated, Venom lashes out, wreaking havoc in the house before finally leaving Eddie's body. In the process, he even destroys Eddie's bike. The scene shifts to Cletus, who is now on death row. As they prepare to execute him with an injection, something unexpected happens. A small piece of the symbiote that had bonded with Cletus reacts to the injection. Slowly, a new symbiote begins to take shape. It's Carnage. As Carnage fully manifests, everyone around him is filled with fear. Panic ensues as everyone tries to escape, screaming in terror. Carnage looms large, terrifying, and powerful as he devours all the police officers in sight. He then breaks free the prisoners from their cells. The scene shifts to Eddie, who is watching the news on TV. He's shocked to learn that Cletus has escaped from jail, and worry washes over him. Shortly after, a detective arrives to confront Eddie, holding him responsible for the incident. Eddie protests, saying, I don't know anything about this. How could Cletus have gotten out? Detective retorts that Cletus had just met him, implying there is a chance Eddie had a hand in his escape. Meanwhile, Venom is seen shifting from body to body, struggling to find a suitable host. Eventually, it takes over a girl at a party, where everyone is dressed in various costumes. The atmosphere felt just like a Halloween party, with everyone mistaking Venom for someone in an elaborate costume. Its massive size drew admiration from the crowd. Meanwhile, Cletus is shown stealing a car, with Carnage speaking to him in the same way Venom usually talks to Eddie. Carnage declares that Venom is the only symbiote, and together they could rule the world if they eliminate him. Cletus insists he first needs to free his partner, Frances, because he loves her and wants her by his side. Carnage agrees, clearly on board with the plan. Back at the party, Venom is having a blast, dancing and even winning the costume competition. It takes the stage to give a speech but seems to be missing Eddie. Meanwhile, Eddie has arrived at the orphanage where Cletus grew up, noticing CKFB scrawled on the wall. He calls the detective to inform him, "I am at the orphanage where Cletus lived." Eddie then asks about the meaning of FB. Detective explains that FB stands for Frances Barrison. The detective informs him that their team was trying to take Frances for a major experiment. He recalls an incident when he shot her. He said to Eddie that Frances Barrison is dead. The detective is completely unaware that Frances Barrison is still alive. Meanwhile, Cletus kills a shop owner in his store and hacks into a computer to uncover the secret location of the asylum where Frances is being held. Once inside the asylum, he dispatches the doctors before finally reuniting with Frances. The two are overjoyed to see each other. In a dramatic moment, Cletus introduces Carnage to Frances, and they share in the excitement of their reunion as they make their escape in a car. However, the police are hot on their trail, and nothing can stand up to Carnage. In a display of sheer power, Carnage bursts forth, lifting and hurling police cars, taking out all the officers in his path. Meanwhile, Venom finds the shopkeeper and takes over another host. Hungry after being separated from Eddie for so long, it asks for food and chocolate. Back at the police station, Eddie is in custody, and the authorities are suspecting him of being behind last night's attacks, especially since they discovered multiple dead bodies near his home. The detective presses Eddie for the truth, but Eddie responds defiantly, saying, "I won't tell you anything until I make a phone call." He calls Anne, and after the call, she arrives with a doctor to see him. Once there together, Eddie explains to Anne that Cletus is responsible for all the chaos in the city, revealing that a mysterious force has emerged, creating a new symbiote. He adds, "I'm not with Venom anymore." Anne sets out to find Venom, knowing that only he can defeat Carnage. She realizes the shopkeeper might have information about Venom, so she approaches her and asks, "Have you seen Venom?" Unbeknownst to her, Venom is hiding inside the shopkeeper's body and responds, "I'm mad at Eddie right now." Anne pleads with Venom, explaining that Eddie needs his help. After a moment of consideration, Venom agrees to meet Eddie. Meanwhile, Cletus and Frances are rampaging through the city, leaving destruction in their wake. Carnage, emerging from Cletus' body, declares, "My next prey is Venom," clearly referring to Eddie. Later, we see Venom and Anne as they rush to find Eddie. They manage to escape, and on their way, Venom asks Eddie to apologize. Finally, Eddie offers his apology. As this unfolds, the detective is on his way somewhere when he unexpectedly crosses paths with Cletus. As the detective steps out of his car, he takes a shot at Cletus. In an instant, Carnage bursts from Cletus's body and grabs the detective. Meanwhile, Frances arrives at Eddie's house and discovers Anne's ring, which she decides to take with her. Before leaving, she finds a photo of Anne and says, "You better come to our wedding," as she plans to track her down. Later, Eddie gets a call from the doctor, who informs him that some people have taken Anne. The scene shifts to Cletus and Frances, who are getting ready to marry, with the detective who had been captured earlier forced to attend. Just as they're about to say "I do," Venom arrives on the scene. But when Carnage spots him, Venom gets spooked and quickly retreats back into Eddie. Eddie, sensing something is off, asks, "What's going on? Why won't you come out?" Venom hesitates before responding, "It's Carnage. He's smart and dangerous." Eddie urges him, "Just come out and take care of it, whoever you want." "I won't stop you," Eddie says, and with that, Venom charges out full speed, igniting an intense battle between the two symbiotic warriors. They grapple and clash, each trying to overpower the other, but Carnage gains the upper hand, delivering a series of punishing blows. Amid the chaos, Carnage engages in conversation with Frances, whose vocal powers are causing problems for him as she screams loudly. The extreme sonic vibrations are too much for him to handle. Symbiotes can't withstand that kind of heat. Seizing the moment, the Doctor throws petrol on Carnage, adding fuel to the fire. Nearby, a huge clock tower begins to chime, and at the sound, both symbiotes are forced to leave their hosts' bodies. As the ringing stops, the symbiotes rush back to their respective hosts. Later, Carnage makes his way to the rooftop of a building with Anne, but Venom, battered and bruised from the earlier fight, struggles to follow. He turns to Eddie and says, "We can't win this war this time. Carnage is more powerful than me," Venom admits as he watches the scene unfold. Carnage grips Frances tightly, demanding that she shut her mouth, unable to tolerate the irritation from her sonic powers. With a firm hold, he restricts her breathing, causing her to struggle. Cletus, witnessing this, becomes furious and commands Carnage to release him. However, Carnage has complete control over Cletus's body and refuses to let him go. Venom, observing everything, tells Eddie, Cletus' body isn't fully under Carnage's control. Eddie, realizing this, responds, "Exactly. We're the perfect match. Who else could possibly be?" Energized by the thought of victory, Venom challenges Carnage. They climb to a high point, with Anne held captive in Carnage's grasp. In a moment of desperation, Venom grabs a rod and drives it into Carnage's head. Anne tumbles to the ground as a result of the blow. Just in time, Venom swoops in to save Frances from falling, but Carnage quickly arrives and drives its spikes into Venom. The two symbiotes taunt each other, acknowledging that one of them must die. Venom delivers the movie's iconic line to Carnage, "Venom, let there be carnage." At that moment, Frances awakens and Venom urges her to unleash her sonic powers. However, Carnage pushes her away, and as she screams while falling, the sound creates shockwaves that start to shatter the walls around them. The deafening noise forces the symbiotes to separate from their hosts. Meanwhile, a massive clock tower begins to topple, and Frances lies beneath it. Venom rushes back in, saving Eddie, Anne, Frances, and the Doctor just in time. Now fully separated from Cletus, Carnage attempts to re-enter his body, but Venom intercepts and devours it. In the end, Venom turns to Cletus and delivers a final blow, ending his life. Meanwhile, the police arrive and remove all of the dangers. Eddie asks the Doctor to take Anne with him. The detective is shown saved in that incident. Venom and Eddie are shown sitting near a shore. Later, the scene shifts to a room where Eddie was sleeping on the bed. "Should we keep secrets from each other?" Venom asks. Eddie says everything has a past. Venom says, "I want to tell you something, but if I tell you, your brain will explode. There are many things I know and want to tell you. These things are difficult to understand." Eddie thinks maybe it will tell him about its symbiote. Meanwhile, the television begins to flicker and the surroundings begin to change. Eddie believes Venom is doing all of this, but Venom claims, "I am not doing it myself." Meanwhile, a bright golden light shines from the front. Venom later appears in Spider-Man's universe. It implies that Venom is now a part of Spider-Man's universe. With this suspense, the film comes to a close. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you in the next one. Goodbye.